everybody doing? Everybody's on YouTube. How's everybody doing? Nice to see everybody. Let's make sure we are rolling properly. Now, I didn't get a lot of them, but we're going to go over a few things tonight and you're probably going to take away a few things from this that you didn't know yesterday. You're going to be able to take away something even further that probably initially should have gone on the wall, but it didn't. So I'm going to grab a bottle of water, and I'm going to grab a napkin real quick. So give me 15 seconds. How's everybody doing? Just where you from? Hey, what's going on, McDonald? I'm going to be, let me grab a bottle of water. 15 seconds, guys. Sorry about that. I won't be able to make it through it. I simply won't be able to make it. Okie dokie. So I'm going to be going over quite. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. How's everybody doing tonight? Good to see everybody. How's everybody? Where's everybody from? So let's say hello. Let's say hello before we jump right into this. And tonight you're going to learn something that you didn't know yesterday. Tonight you're going to take something home from this tonight that will make you think twice about the history lessons that I've been teaching since I started teaching on June 20th of 2021, since I unveiled the timeline piece, and I created the website Delete Laws with my partner Jeff Lloyd, two-time voting Trump Republican conservative who funded the creation of this poster, and that would be Jeff Lloyd in West Hollywood, California. So, you know, the other day I got a couple comments, not a lot, but I did get a couple of comments of people who said, you know, gosh, you sure were mean to that cop. You were so mean to him. My cousin, as a matter of fact, she said to me, you were so mean to him. Let's talk about that a little bit. Let's get into the nitty gritty. Let's get into some things that people are not talking about that we absolutely should be talking about. Where's everybody from? Let me know where you guys are from, and I'll say hello to a couple people, and then I will get going. Because remember, if you guys watched that lecture, if you guys watched that beatdown of the cop that I did, Overturn Terry, good to see you, Crazy Frenchman. I think that's what that says. So the reason that so first of all, if you go back and you watch the audit that I didn't mean to do, I was just sitting there trying to get a cup of coffee. And so when I started that conversation off with you guys, and we were talking, and I was saying, you know, when I got here, the security guard walked up to me and asked me what my name was and what Ohio. Good to see you, Justice. Good to see you. Always good to see you, brother. Hope Shauna's doing okay. Omara, how are you, honey? Nice to see you. Nice to see you. Omara reminds me of shirts. They're supposed to be done tomorrow, supposed to be done today, but they're not going to be done today. Shirts are probably going to be done Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday at the latest. I got some stage 3 printing in Phoenix, so the order's supposed to be done, but it got held up and they're busy, but this should be done by Monday. So I just saw Omara in here, and so I wanted to, hello, how you doing? Good to see you, Dawn, Uncle Buds, what's going on? Okay, so now let's talk about something important. Let's talk about something that matters. Let's talk about something that when you leave here today, you can say, you know what, I learned something. I learned something yesterday. I learned something yesterday on YouTube that I took with me that I now know today. And so remember when I was doing that audit yesterday, the first thing the security guards came up to me and said, "You're loitering." And so let me grab this door. And so I said, "Oh, you mean I need to buy something?" Is that I said that to the security guard because I wanted to see when he accused me of loitering if he even knew what it meant. Because once he showed me that he knew what loitering meant, then you saw my demeanor change and me go, "Oh, dude, good to see you. What's your name? How you doing?" Right? Because he actually knew what loitering meant. And so if you guys go to the website Delete Laws with a Z, deletelawswithaz.com, where this poster is, one of the holdings on there, one of the holdings that is not on there is from 1972. And Papa Christou, you see what that says, Papa Christou? Papa Christou versus City of Jacksonville, 1972. Loitering. So what exactly is loitering? It's when the United States case resulting in a Jacksonville vagrancy ordinance being declared unconstitutionally vague. It was argued December 9th, 1971, decided on 1972. The vagrants ordinance, rogues and vagabonds or dissolute persons who go about begging and common gamblers, persons who are juggling or unlawful games or playing common drunken games, common night walkers, thieves, plifflers, right? And so this is the 1972, when they're going to get rid of loitering and vagrancy in a lot of places, but it's still, you could still be loitering in Arizona. So they're charging me with loitering. And so then every time what I say, when you go to my website, Delete Laws, it says the history of institutional racism taught on a timeline. And every time I go back and I find some bullshit law, excuse my language, I'm so sorry. I got to get that one word out of my vocabulary. I've gotten all the rest out, but I haven't gotten that one out. And so when you get into the story of this, defendants, 4 of the 8 defendants, Margaret Papa Christou, Betty Calloway, Eugene Eddie Melton, and Leonard Johnson were charged with prowling by auto. Papa Christou and Calloway were white women. Melton and Johnson were black men. Every time you go back into the history, and they were trying to say I was loitering, every time you go into the history, it's always, the law created is almost always based on race. It's almost always race. Listen, it absolutely sucks to share this. It absolutely sucks to tell you guys this. Look it up. Papa Christou versus City of Jacksonville, 1972. So when the guard the other day said, I said, you're loitering, and I said, does that mean that I need to buy something? Is that what that means? Now I know good full and well that loitering means that you're not supposed to be in a public space hanging around. And that's what I just kind of read the statute to you there. And so then as soon as the security guard knew what he was talking about, he knew that loitering didn't mean I had to buy something from a store. Then I said, hey, how you guys doing? Good to meet you. What's your name? And I gave him a fist pump. You guys saw me do that. And then the cop came up and I absolutely lambasted this cop. Okay? So let's talk about that. Let's get into it a little bit about exactly why I was so mean to that cop. How come I was so mean? Why would I be so mean? How come? Why would I be so awful to that police officer who's doing a service to humanity? He's serving as a police officer. He's making the world a safer place. He's going to save you if your husband beats you, even though 4 out of 10 cops beat their wives or their children. So then you go back and you go into the poster and you go back into the history of time, and what we're seeing in New York City right now is there's police enforcing mandates. And so we're going to get into it, but first I want to show you just a few ways throughout the history of time where the police that you back the blue till it happens to you, right? That you support so well. Let me show you what happened. Let me show you what happened throughout the history of time. So when you go back to 1919, the case here, when you go to 1919, right here, when you go to Cynic versus United States, this case right here, this is where they said that you can't put on a pamphlet, assert your rights, do not go to war. Cynic and his wife, Elizabeth Bayer, are put in jail. They're put in prison. They're arrested and put in prison. And it goes to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court, the white court, I believe it's Dwight White. I can't remember the first name of the guy, but it doesn't matter. The Chief Justice. By the way, this is 3/4 white supremacist, this court right here. And so in the 1919 case of Sinek versus United States, they have this holding that says that you can't put on a pamphlet that assert your rights, do not go to war, you're a free man. And so they say that the famous saying is you can't scream fire in a busy movie theater. That's what it comes from. Oliver Wendell Holmes. Is he on this? There he is right there. Oliver Wendell Holmes. He's the Supreme Court Justice for Sinek versus the United States, who says the famous words, you cannot scream fire in a busy movie theater. Your First Amendment right is therefore limited. Your First Amendment right is limited. Your basic liberty of speech is limited because you cannot put on a pamphlet, do not go to war, assert your rights. And so Oliver Wendell Holmes, this great wise man with the great mustache and the white hair, and he's been anointed to the most high court in the land. This man here says you can't scream fire in a busy movie theater, and what he says is supreme, and so then you lose your right to speech right here. And so now after that, let me ask you guys a real quick question. Who arrests you for free speech after that? Who puts you in shackles? And we're going to go through the entire arrest process. I don't have someone with me. I invited a guy over, but he's a conservative, so he got a little nervous that he'd be the model for showing what happens to you when you get arrested. So let's just go the First Amendment right. Everybody agrees we love the First Amendment. Does anybody not love the First? If you don't love the First Amendment, if you don't love the First Amendment, please leave my page. Please leave and never come back. Don't ever speak to me again if you don't love the First Amendment. It's all for you. It's all for freedom. It's your first big 5 freedoms, right? So if you don't love the First Amendment, get the hell out of here and go do something else with your life. And those first big 5 freedoms are what? Freedom of speech, number 1. Freedom of speech, freedom of press. Freedom of religion, freedom to petition, freedom to assemble. Those are your 5 big first. Okay, so now in 1919, your First Amendment right is limited by the wise old Oliver Wendell Holmes. He says it. It's so powerful. The media runs with it. They put his picture in the paper with his big handlebar mustache, and he says you can't scream fire in a busy movie theater. It had nothing to do with that. It had your First Amendment right to encourage your fellow citizens not to enter into a war where they're surely going to die. So, now, after 1919, pretty soon, what do you think the sentiment is? What's the sentiment in America when you read the papers in the New York Times, 1920, 1921, 1922? People are being arrested for what? For their speech. Who's doing the arresting? The police. They don't like what you said. And you can't scream fire in a busy movie theater. That definitely limits your speech. The Supreme Court said, everybody, the Supreme Court said, the kings said. The people who were appointed, they said. Those people said. So now, I'm just giving you a very simple example. But let's go back in time. And I talk about it all the time. The very basis of gun control in the United States of America. The very, very basis of gun control in the United States of America is going to be the 1911 Sullivan Act. Let me find out where it is on here. Boop, boop, boop. The 1911 Sullivan Act, right here. Here's the 1911 Sullivan Act right there. Let me zoom in for you guys so you can see it, okay? The 1911 Sullivan Act, this is going to limit your gun rights, where you have to have a permission from the head of the president of the police bureau to have your gun rights. You have to have a permission slip from him for you to carry a gun in New York City from the 1911 Sullivan Act. That's what has to happen right there. You gotta do that. That's what has to happen. That's what has to happen. You have to get permission from cops. And so they give out all the permits and you don't get one. What happens then? Then who enforces those gun laws? Who enforces those if you get caught with a gun and you don't have the permission slip? Who enforces that infringement of your Second Amendment? Who does that to you? The cop. The cop does that to you. He infringes your Second Amendment right. He puts you in handcuffs. He puts you in shackles. He does that to you. Second Amendment though. No. You're going to be now let's just, and we can keep going. I mean, there's just so many I can just keep going. So there's your First Amendment, there's your Second Amendment, and then let's just jump to the mother of all of them. I mean, your Fourth Amendment, let's be honest. When is your Fourth Amendment gone? Your Fourth Amendment, you could consider it gone with Terry versus Ohio. You could say your Fourth Amendment right was gone with Terry, but it's not true. Your Fourth Amendment right is going to go back to Carroll. You're gonna completely you're gonna lose all your rights with the 1876 holding of Cruikshank, where the Supreme Court says that they cannot make the federal government enforce your rights. You can't do it. We can't enforce your rights. I'm sorry. And that starts, of course, the lynching graph for decades and decades and decades. but that's beside the point. So you lost your Fourth Amendment for sure with Carroll. As soon as, and why do you lose your Fourth Amendment with Carroll? How come you lose your Fourth Amendment with Carroll? You lose your Fourth Amendment with Carroll because the exigent circumstances clause, they no longer need a warrant to search your car. So we just skip the warrant process right here in 1925. And who does this to you? Police do. Who searches your car? The cops do. Who's going to do this? Who's going to say that they're afraid that you're a loss of life? The police are. They're going to arrest you. You're going to be arrested by the police because they went around your constitutional rights here. Who enforces that? The cops do. Who has to sign up to do that? People have to sign up to do that. You have to sign up to do that to people, to say, oh, I'm in hot pursuit of you, or, I need to seize evidence out of your car. We no longer need a warrant anymore. I can just decide I'm going to search your car, and I'll just search your car. You have no choice in this. Zero. And, oh, by the way, I'm afraid there's a loss of life. There's a missing girl in the area, so we need to search your car. I have a missing girl in my trunk now. Well, we don't know. You could have a missing girl in your trunk. And so we're going to search your vehicle. We're going to search you. And so that creates the automobile exclusionary rule. So now what does the Fourth Amendment say? It's the right of the people. First of all, Fourth Amendment is the right of the people. It's the right of the people. The Fourth Amendment is the right of the people. That's the first thing the Fourth Amendment starts off with, that people seem to forget that the reason we're fighting for it is because it's ours. This is our right to be free. This is us. And so the Fourth Amendment says, you have the right to be secure in your person, houses, papers, and effects. So your car would be your effect. And so this happens in 1776, but then just in 1925 right here in Carroll, in the exigent circumstances clause, you no longer have that Fourth Amendment right. It's gone. It's gone. Because you're in a car now and you can drive away. So that makes you a horrible danger to the world. If you got away, I saw a statistic today. What was the statistic? The one I saw today is that the number one killer of American people is now fentanyl. The number one killer. My dad spent 20 years in prison. He actually worked for Pablo Escobar. This is a fact. This is my story. This is my life. And he spent 20 years in prison. The number one killer of people today is fentanyl. You locked up my dad for 20 years for what? How much good did it do? How much did it help? How good is things now? How good are things? The drug crisis is the number one killer of all man. Last year, how many people do you think died? Remember the Vietnam War? Do you remember the protests all through the Vietnam War? The reason why Richard Nixon declares war on drugs is because he can't get a handle on the civil rights movement and on hippies who are protesting the Civil War. That's why he declares war on drugs in 1971. You remember all the protests? How many thousands and thousands of people marched and cops cracked skulls? How come this happened? Right? And so then how many people died? 53,000 people died in Vietnam. Last year, 100,000 people died in the United States of America from drug overdoses. How good has it been giving all the power to big pharmaceuticals? How good has it been? So now let's go back. The reason why you're here is I'm going to explain to you why I was mean to that cop. Let me explain it to you guys. So in 1925, you lose your Fourth Amendment right. So now your First Amendment right is gone in Cynic. Still stands on the books today. You still can't scream fire in a busy movie theater. Your First Amendment right is limited. You probably said that to people not knowing that you were repeating tyranny. It's not your fault. No one told you. You never got educated. No one said this to you before. So then your Second Amendment right is gone in 1911 by an executive order from a governor because they don't want black people to have guns. And then your Fourth Amendment right is gone in 1925 because of a mandate. And Harry Anslinger wants to enrich his big pharmaceutical partner, Lamont DuPont and William Randolph Hearst. And this is the whole reason why marijuana is demonized and hemp is demonized. And this is the entire basis of understanding the criminal justice system today and the big pharmaceutical rule over our country today. It started right here with Harry Anslinger. His effect on the world is still in big time motion. This guy's still grinding the gears from hell as he burns in the eternal pit of fire in front of Satan, and his bones turn to dust as he burns in the 666th layer of Hades. I was raised Catholic. I can go, baby. I can go. So now your First Amendment right is gone. Your Second Amendment right is gone. Your Fourth Amendment right is gone. What about your Fifth Amendment right? Well, your Fifth Amendment right, as we know, your Fifth Amendment right not to say where you're going is going to go when the cuffs come on. As soon as the cuffs come on, your Fifth Amendment right to remain silent, 15 minutes in these, you'll tell me where you're going. You'll tell me what you're doing. Unless you're a hardened criminal and you're actually doing some bad stuff, within 15 minutes, you'll tell me exactly where you're going. You guys saw my cousin Tawny in handcuffs. You guys saw my cousin Tawny. She'd never been put in handcuffs. Within the first 10 seconds, she's in excruciating pain, and it remains excruciating pain the entire time. You hear that? You know why that sounds like that? It sounds like metal. It sounds like metal that goes on your wrist, clamps onto your wrist, locks it down so tight that your skin rips anytime you move. And so within that's your 8th Amendment, cruel and unusual punishment. That's gone in Terry versus Ohio, 1968. That's gone. You lose your 8th Amendment right not to be tortured with Terry versus Ohio, because police then create around the policy of Terry detainment. Detainment is this. Detainment is we're going to put you in painful, hear it? You know why it sounds nasty? Because it is nasty. Every time you hear it, it's nasty because it is nasty, right? So Terry versus Ohio, if you listen to the oral arguments, if you listen to the first 3 episodes of Overturn Terry on this channel, if you go and listen to those first 3 episodes of Overturn Terry on this channel, you will see what Terry versus Ohio actually is. I challenge all of you to make sure you go grab that first video of Terry and share it. That's what Terry versus Ohio is. It's going to blow your mind what you hear. So they create this magical space called detainment in 1968, which completely washes away your 8th Amendment. Because a Terry stop now includes a POW style of arrest. You will get on your belly, and if you don't, you will get the stick. Whether that be electricity or 8 of us on you, you will get on your belly and lay down, or you get the stick. That's simple. Comply or die, right? Right? That's the truth. That's what a Terry stop is now. But you lose your 8th Amendment right to cruel and unusual punishment in the Terry stop, and with this sound right here, that one right there, within 15 minutes, if you're not a hardened criminal and you're just going to your grandma's house to have some cookies, you will tell that cop where you're going and what you're doing. He said, where are you going? What are you doing? He said, I'm not going to answer any questions, officer. Oh, I'm going to my grandma's house to have some cookies. I'm going to my grandma's house. That's all I'm doing. Get these freaking cuffs off me, man. You're killing me. We saw that with the doctor. Anybody see the doctor video where the doctor was attacked by the dog? Okay, so now, all of those rights that I just listed off, your 1st Amendment, your 2nd Amendment, your 4th Amendment, your 5th Amendment, your 6th Amendment's gone with Terry versus Ohio. You no longer have a right to face your accuser. The cop is your accuser, and he's gonna swear that he was suspicious of you. That's Terry versus Ohio, with saying that the Terry rules mean that reasonable suspicion, again, just washes over your 4th Amendment to probable cause supported by oath or affirmation of the victim. So now let's talk about why I was mean to the cop. All of those amendments that I just listed, every single one of those amendments that I just listed here, where you lost your rights by an unelected Supreme Court, where you lost all your rights, who had to do this to you? Who had to enforce that you lost your right to speech? Who had to enforce that you lost your 2nd Amendment right? Who had to enforce you the loss of your 4th Amendment right, the loss of your 8th Amendment right to be tortured in handcuffs, the right to face your accuser, the right to not have to tell people where you're going or what you're doing? Who enforces that? Police do. Police enforce this. The police do this to you. And so this is unconstitutional, and it's always been unconstitutional, and it'll remain unconstitutional. I don't care what people got appointed that said it was constitutional. It is not constitutional to lock me in torture cuffs. It is not constitutional. This is not constitutional. This is not constitutional. This is not a constitutional thing. This isn't constitutional. Locking me in cuffs when I've not been convicted of a crime is not constitutional. And until we all agree, nothing changes. It's called the rule of recognition. It's called the rule of recognition. Look it up. Look up Jeffrey Kaplan's lecture on the rule of recognition. Jeffrey Kaplan, Kaplan, on the rule of recognition. When we recognize that we no longer recognize torture as a way of detainment, that's when it changes. Until then, it does not change. It does not change one single bit. So let me see if I have a volunteer real quick. Let me see. No, I got it. Okay. That's fine. Okay, so now when all of these rights here can be superseded, right? Your 8th Amendment, your 6th Amendment, your 5th Amendment, your 4th Amendment, your 2nd Amendment. Hey, all they haven't done is just troops in your house yet. 3rd Amendment. Third Amendment is thou shalt not quarter troops, right? So it's like a commandment, whatever, sorry. So I was just biblical a moment ago. So now what happens to me now? I was at that coffee shop the other day and the cop walked up to me and he tried to act like he was just this nice laid back guy. And then when he came up to me, what did he do? He said, you've been trespassed from this. You guys saw him walk up to me and say, you've been trespassed. So what's the first thing that happens if I'm a blithering moron and I don't realize that number one, I'm supposed to get a warning. And then, so let's just say I go back to that bank and I bank there, I get a coffee there. And then the security guard calls the cops and they come and they arrest me. So that's what a security state, police state is. Yesterday when I said security state, police state, what I mean is that the security itself can create a prison apparatus for you. She said she didn't like me. She called the cops. I'm trespassed from there. She's the authority for Chase. So when Chase talks to her, she says, oh, this guy's a hoodlum out on the parking lot. And Chase says, trespass him then. And then I go to jail. So what's the first thing that happens to me? The first thing that cop does to me is he puts the torture cuffs on me. If I'm willingly turn around and stick my hands behind my back, then the cuffs go on my wrists. Torture immediately. And then he's going to take his hands, he's going to take his fingers, he's going to put me up against a wall with my back turned against my will, and he's going to stick his fingers in every single crevice of my body. Every single crevice, creak, crack. If I have an injured shoulder, and behind my ears and my hair, he's going to take his hands and fingers and put them through every crack of my body. Wedge his fingers to make sure I don't have anything up there, because fentanyl is the #1 killer of all Americans. But he's going to prevent a drug epidemic by putting his fingers up the crack of my butt. That's what he's going to do. He's going to make it all better by making sure there's nothing in the crack of my butt. Right? You think I mean, it's gross to say, right? But it's true. He's going to stick his fingers up my butt. He's going to stick his fingers in my armpits, up my neck, all over my hair, my head. I'm going to be assaulted by this person because the security state has said that I trespassed. You understand that? And then after that, as I'm being tortured, the cuffs are still on my body. The cuffs are still on me. They're still just ringing my wrists. They're hurting so bad. The doctor who'd been attacked by the dog, what did he say to the paramedic? What hurts the most? And the doctor said, my wrists. My wrists hurt the most. The dog had just tore his leg off, and his wrists hurt more than the leg. That's how bad these are. These are unconstitutional. They have to go. These have to go. So does the searching. So does the searching of my body. If I got a gun on me, you'll be able to tell. You don't need to stick your fingers in the crack of my butt. Okay, so then I go down to the jail, right? Now they're going to put me in the car. And now that I'm in the car, with the guy who trespassed me and he's sticking me in the dungeon and I got cuffs on and I'm being tortured, now he's going to tell me what a nice guy he is as we drive down to the jail, and he's taking me to a dungeon where there's dungeon masters who play dungeon games. If you didn't know that, do some Googling. You'll find all kinds of jails and prisons where they play gladiator wars with the people who are locked in the dungeon. I lived it. I went through it. I was indoctrinated to a gang in the first day. So hold on. This is not lose focus. I'm being arrested still. I'm in the back of the car. I'm locked in the dungeon. And he's making jokes, turning on music. You know, I'm just doing my job, man. I'm just doing my job, he's saying to me. You saw what a nice guy he was. He's got me in torture cuffs, though. Every second, my wrists are in pain. Man, I'm really sorry. Those are so tight, he's saying. And then we get down to the dungeon, and when he opens up the car, then the rat pig monsters come out of the dungeon. And I have no accountability. They have no accountability to me because of the 1980 case of Johnson versus Glick. Because the 1980 case of Johnson versus Glick, says, and literally the Supreme Court justices, if you can call them justices on the Supreme Court, they say, you know what? Are we going to take every inmate's complaint for a 1983 seriously? A 1983 is a civil rights violation. That's what a Johnson Glick is. So Australia Johnson, again, a black guy, amazingly, Glick, the warden, white, amazing. Throughout the history of time, all of our laws are racist or authoritarian. It's just garbage. It's just garbage to know this. But because of Australia Johnson getting beat up by the guards, what happens is Johnson Glick, when this goes to the Supreme Court in 1980 at the Burger Court, I challenge you all to look up William Burger. He's a giant Warrenberger. He's a giant, horrifically horrible person. He's one of the few Supreme Court justices of the 115 who's vying for the very bottom spot, only behind Hugo Black, member of the KKK. Him and Warrenberger, the most two disgusting Supreme Court justices. So Johnson versus Glick says, though, that you will be a beta male, because if you won't, that you can't file in 1983 if the guards just write in the report that they were just keeping order. They were just keeping order. Then that no longer qualifies you for a civil rights violation if your skull gets cracked, okay? So now the cop, who was just that nicest guy ever, that I was just so mean to, I was so mean to him. So far, what has he done to me? He's physically assaulted me sexually, put his fingers in every orifice of my body. He has me in torture cuffs. Now he's taken me to a place that when they come outside, there is no repercussions for what happens to me in there. And then let's keep going down the line. So then when I go in, they leave the torture cuffs on the whole time. And then they take you and they lock you to a bench. They take you and lock you to a bench where you're really uncomfortable. You're like in this kind of awkward, weird, you're kind of like, you're locked to a bench like this. You're just awkward. Your body's not, the kinesiology of your body, you're not supposed to be like this in torture cuffs on a bench. But you're just like, oh, dude. And they leave you there for maybe, I don't know, an hour, maybe 40 minutes, however long it takes, 2 hours, right? You're locked to a bench, being tortured. That's the last you saw of that nice cop who came up to me, and he's not a tyrant. He said to me the next day, I'm not a tyrant. Why would you say that about me? Do you take people to the dungeon? Okay, so now I'm in torture cuffs. I got the cuffs on. I'm on the bench. They decide it's my turn to be booked. Let me tell you what happens next. Now they come over and they take the cuffs off me with a warning. You try anything and we're going to kill you. We're going to take these cuffs off you, but if you try anything, they got guys standing there pointing guns. It's crazy. It's crazy. And what did you do? You didn't pay your traffic ticket. Okay? Then there's no way other than arresting you and taking you to a dungeon that can be handled on the spot. I can go into that later. We're still being arrested. So now as you're in the dungeon, you still got the torture cuffs just taken off your wrists. For the first time you understand, your wrists are gouged. Your wrists have got big wrist rip marks across them. And you're like, oh my God, what is this? That's called cruel and unusual punishment. That's against your 8th Amendment. When your wrists are gouged open and bleeding and they hurt, and you told the jailer or the cop who arrested you, dude, these hurt. That's torture. That's torture. But we allow it. We drive by people in handcuffs and we don't go, oh my God, you're torturing that person. You don't pass someone and see them in handcuffs and go to your wife or your husband or your best friend or your lover and go, dude, look, that guy's in cuffs. And they go, big deal. You go, no, dude, that's torture. How many times do you say that? How many times when you pass someone and you see the cops got someone in cuffs, do you turn to the person next to you and go, dude, have you ever seen that video where that guy put his cousin in handcuffs? In the first minute, first second, she's in pain. So we're still being arrested. Now that I'm going through the booking process, they're taking my fingers and they're rolling them across this piece of glass, right? But I'm not allowed to do it. I don't have the dexterity to roll my finger across properly. So they literally coddle you, take your finger and roll it across the fingerprinting, or it's a piece of paper. They just roll it across for you. And if you in any way, shape, or form resist or show any sort of apprehension to what's happening right now, you might get squashed. You might get taken down to the ground and beaten and maced and kicked and punched. I've seen it. I have seen it myself. He resisted when she was trying to run his finger across the thing. He took a beating right there, a beat down right there. And the people who are doing the fingerprinting, here's the most ironic part. They don't even bat an eye. They just look over, some guy's getting the hell beat out of him, maced, kicked, punched, and they're just still rolling people's fingers across the little piece of machinery. You can't do it. You're a criminal. As soon as you get arrested, as soon as the cuffs go on you, torture immediately. You're treated, now they're taken to a frickin' dungeon. And that was that nice cop the other day. He was so nice, he was so docile. Chille, you were so mean to him. He takes people to the dungeon. So now after they run my fingers across there, now what they do is they take me and they put me in a room, a little tiny room that's made for 10 people. And they put me in there with 30 other dudes. There's 2 metal benches and there's a concrete brick square around that little pod that I'm in, that I'm dropped into, that I'm put in there with 30 other people. I'll tell you a story. It's going in my book. I've told this once or twice before. I'll tell it to you. I'll tell it to this crowd here. When I got thrown into the dungeon, which time was that? It wasn't the time I got charged with 5 felonies that I hired Shapiro. No, this was a different time I was thrown into the dungeon. Or was it that? Anyway, here's the point. So I told you, after they roll your fingers across the thing, then they take you and put you in this little tiny room and throw 20 or 30 other dudes in there with a room for 10 people. And so one time when I was in that tiny little room, this is what triggered my memory. I'm sitting down on the bench. There's two metal benches in a 10-foot by 10-foot room with 40 people. So there's people, you're literally stepping over people. There's bodies. Everybody stinks. It's horrific. And what have I done wrong so far now? The security guard trespassed me. The cop enforced it. He took me to the dungeon. There's no victim, nothing. I was just having a coffee on public space and she didn't like me. That was it. She asked me my name and I said, I don't want to give you my name. Well, you don't have to be rude. I'm not being rude. I don't want to check in with you. Just call the police, she said. The cop comes. I don't know how to handle the cop. And he arrests me for disorderly conduct. And now I went through that whole process with the torture cuffs. And by the way, the torture cuffs aren't done. I haven't even begun with what's going to happen to you next. So then as I'm in that dungeon, I'm sitting on that chair on the 2 little metal beams. And it's so crazy. I look up and I'm in the shadow of this like huge shadow. And I look up and it's this huge, and sorry, he's black. He's huge. He's 6'8". He's 350 pounds. This guy is a giant. Standing right over me. I was just literally looking down, kind of in my own head, crying in my mind because you can't cry out loud in front of that room. And so then this guy's standing over me, this gigantic, huge black man. He's gigantic. And I look at him and I try to scoot over. I'm like, yo, bro, you want to sit down? And he looks at me. He looks over at the guard, comes back to me, and he goes, yo, when that security guard leaves, I'm going to kill you, dude. I'm like, what? My body immediately gets off the bench and I move. I put my distance between me and him. I'm between the 2 benches. There's people all over the benches. There's literally, you have to step over people to get through the room. There's that many people in that tiny room. And then as soon as the guard leaves, that gigantic man starts walking in a circle towards me and I'm just going the other way. Like, no. And people are watching and they're kind of starting to make a little path for us so that we can get through merry-go-round because we've gone a couple loops around the room. I'm not letting the guy get near me. He's huge, gigantic. In that tiny space, there's no moves you're going to be able to do to withhold just the straight crunch he's going to put on you. You're going to have to take it and lock up and hope that you can hold on if he doesn't slam you into the ground. And so he's chasing me. I'm on my 2nd loop. And here's the craziest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. I put it in my story, Being John White, because I look white, but I'm Colombian. And so when he started to go around, he did this. I heard him cough as we were going in a circle. By the 3rd loop, the cough had become consistent. And I'm like, is he faking that? And then he goes down on the ground, convulsing. He can't breathe. I go from running from this giant man who's going to crush me to literally picking up his head off the ground to keep the mucus from choking him. And the whole room is screaming, guard, guard, guard. And the guard comes over. I swear to God, dude, I'll never forget it. I got this huge guy's head in my lap who was just about to kill me. Told me he was going to kill me. And then it's called choking up. You guys ever heard of that before? It's called choking up. I've never heard of that before. Never heard of that before until I was in jail. Choking up is when you smoke a pixie stick. I don't know what that is either because I've never smoked one in my life. I have no idea. It's some heroin or some kind of PCP-laced joint, and it's called coughing up. It's very common. You can look it up. And this gigantic man begins to cough up right there on me. He is dying, choking, can't breathe. I go from afraid to CPR. The guards come over, and this is the part I'll never forget. Guard comes over and he goes just like this. Let me just show you. He goes like this. And then he just walked off and didn't say a word. And then about 10 seconds later, we heard, hey man, we got a guy up here. You might want to send someone up. Then they send up the guards. They send up 3 paramedic guards. And the paramedic guards, they take their palms because he's choking and he can't breathe. And they give him palm strikes in the back to the point where they are almost putting their palms through the man's back. I mean, just whack it. I mean, just whacking this guy. I mean, just what? And he's not completely out, so pretty soon he's just trying to stop coughing, so the guy will stop hitting him with palm strikes in the back. I'm watching this. I've just lived it. So then after that, they'll come into the room now that you've been put in there. And remember, you're still wearing your civvy clothes. And then after that, a guy comes in the room where there's 40 of us. After that just happened, they took the guy out on a stretcher. Then they come in, and the guy goes like this. Everybody where you are, take off all of your clothes and drop them in a pile in front of you. So there's 40 dudes in that room, in that tiny little room. So we all drop trow immediately. We have to drop all our trow, totally naked, right there. The smell, there's 2 or 3 people vomit. I don't vomit. I hold it back. I'm like, I'm not puking. The guys next, they vomit. They puke. Bleh, right there, puke. As soon as everybody takes off their clothes, it's puke. The smell's horrific. Remember, he was such a nice guy, though. That cop who took me there, people around me puking, I'm being strip searched now, right? Some guy just told me he was going to tear my head off and shit down my neck. As soon as the guard was gone, I'm dead. And there was a nice cop. He was so nice. If he trespassed me, though, that's what happens to me next. That's my process next. That's what happens to me. And then do I get to file a 1983 for the guards? No. You'll be put. So then I strip out down my clothes. They walk us into this shower, and everybody goes into these showers. There's this big shower room, and this is at LA County Jail. And then as soon as I come out of that shower room, the guy gives me a towel, a tiny little, it's a tiny little square. Here you go. It's not more than 18 inches, not more than this. And so then that's what you have to dry off with. So I dry off, and then I go into this room before I can get clothed, and there's a big, it's kind of like a gymnasium room. I guess it's a big open room, whatever. And they're like, up against the wall, put your hand above the tape and your feet behind the line. I'm naked. There's 20 other, 30 other guys who are all naked. We're all naked. And then there's about a group in the middle of 10, 15 LA County Sheriff's Office. And they're sitting in a circle together. And they're telling us, get your feet behind the line. Get your hands up. Don't look over here. Look down at the line. Don't look at me. Don't look at me. That's how I'm being treated. Don't look at you. Who the heck are you? Don't look at me. I'm naked. That's not how it goes, though. That's not how it goes. Now that I'm in jail, my hands are above the line. My feet are behind the line. I'm buck naked. I can't do anything. I have to do just that. I can't look at them. I have to look forward. Remember, Johnson versus Glick says you can't file a 1983 if the guards are just keeping order, and you're out of order. You are out of order. So what do? Boom. I even put my head down just like this, right? But I'm a bodybuilder, right? So right away, the guy says about me, look at this guy. Oh, you got all those muscles. You're a tough guy, huh? Whap! Hits me right in the crotch. Palm just like this. Whack! In my nuts. Just like that. I hit my knees because I wasn't ready. Wasn't ready for that. I wasn't ready. And the guard whispers in my ear, get up or I'll kill you. I get up. I'll do whatever you say, boss. Whatever you say, boss. I'm a beta male. I'm not the typical animal that I am. I have to break myself right now or they're going to hurt me bad. And there's no recourse for me. My hands are, there's no recourse here. You getting recourse, your family buries you. You better become a beta male. Do what you're told, dude. Don't. You don't have any rights. There's no one filming you. No one's going to help you. You ended up in the dungeon. When you read the Johnson versus Glick holding, when you actually read the actual holding, which you can get on oyez.org, oyez.org, when you read the actual holding, do you know what it says? It says this exactly. Well, they're not very agreeable in there anyway, those people who are put in jail. The guards have to have some leniency in how they physically reprimand these people. That's what Supreme Court justices say. And what can you be arrested for today? The 2001 case of Atwater versus City of Lago Vista says that you can be arrested for any infraction of the law. 5-4 decision, any infraction. George Floyd passed a $20 bill. I'm not a big, yay, George Floyd kind of guy. I'm just telling you, the 7th Amendment of the Constitution says you'll get a jury trial if you do $25 or more worth of damage. $25 or more in 1776. George Floyd passed a funny $20 bill. And so then he's going to go to the dungeon because of Atwater versus City of Lago Vista that says anything is arrestable. Absolutely anything is arrestable. You can be arrested for anything. Anything. Any infraction of the law is arrestable, and it is not a violation of your Fourth Amendment right, written by David Souter in 2001. Any infraction of the law in front of an officer equals you can be arrested, and it is not a violation of your Fourth Amendment right to be secure in your person because you broke the law. You think that's what the founding fathers wanted? What is the founding principle of America? Natural law, John Locke. What's the founding principle of America? Liberty is far-reaching. This is John Locke's quotes. This is John Locke's. The entire basis of our government is based on John Locke's theory of Lockean law. Natural law. The reason why Kyle Rittenhouse wasn't guilty of murder. He had a right to defend himself when the social contract was suspended. When the social contract was no longer void, no longer valid and voided by the police, and they said, we're not going to protect this area of town, you fall back to natural law. What protects us from killing each other? Thomas Hobbes' theory of the social contract, then refined by Jean-Jacques Rousseau. What protects us is the social contract. The social contract by Jean-Jacques Rousseau is going to say that you have to agree to live by a set of laws all free men do, or you will create a tyrannical, murderous state. Thomas Hobbes' famous saying of bellium omnius contras omnia, meaning a war of all against all. So now we're going back to the theory of natural law. What's the first principle of natural law? Liberty is far-reaching. Liberty number one. Liberty, freedom first. And so now what happened? George Floyd was arrested for a $20 bill. They wanted to arrest me for trespassing when I hadn't trespassed. I hadn't done anything wrong. The security state controlling the apparatus of human movement is what a security state, police state is. The security guard who doesn't like me because I don't want to check in with her now becomes a part of the policing apparatus. That is what a security state, police state is. When you hear the term security state, police state, what you're talking about is security officers. Security officers who have become empowered to call the police on you and take you to the dungeon, and the corporation or the main client of that security guard has nothing to do with it. They have nothing to do with it. But I'm articulate enough that I could explain to that cop, I'll get the representative from Chase out here, and I'm not trespassed from here. And I'll get them to go to my side. But I have that ability. Not everybody does. So, now where were we? I'm so sorry. I forgot where we were in the process of dungeoning me for having a cup of coffee and then turning on my YouTube and talking to people. Okay, so now that they take me to the showers, they bend me over naked, they assault me, they hit me in the balls when I'm bent over naked, right? And now, ready for this? You're gonna have to make a choice right now because they're gonna give you some clothes and then they're gonna take you to a barrack. And in that barrack, you're gonna make a decision right now and they're gonna walk right up to you and they're gonna say, you're in LA County Jail, bro. Who you with? What do you mean, who am I with? I had no idea what the guy was talking about. It was 4 o'clock in the morning. I didn't know what he was saying. He said, no, who you with? He looked at my name. My name is Chille DeCastro. And he said, oh, Chille DeCastro, you're with us. I didn't know what he was talking about. I went over and sat in a bunk, 4 o'clock in the morning, laid down, cried myself to sleep for an hour, woke up an hour later, and then there was the same guys at the end of my bunk with peanut butter and bread. Hey, bro, welcome to the barrack. Here's some peanut butter. Here's some bread. You're with us. Hey, thanks. I have no idea what they're talking about. I've been indoctrinated into the Latin gang, into the brown gang, into the Latinos gang. I'm part of a gang. Like that. I never even knew I was joining. Then I'm against the blacks. I'm not allowed to work out with the blacks. I'm allowed to be friends with the blacks. I'm not allowed to associate with the blacks. As a matter of fact, there's 3 payphones. One's the white payphone, one is the black payphone, and one is the Woods payphone, the white guys. And then the other groups get to ask to use the phones if you're not a part of the 3 main gangs. Woods, white guys, Latinos, black guys. Those are the 3 gangs in LA County Jail. There are no Crips and Bloods in LA County Jail. There's a truce in LA County Jail between the 2 gangs. Why do I know that? I was arrested for no reason. I was arrested because someone lied about me. Okay, so you have to understand the reason I was mean to that cop the other day, he takes people to that dungeon every day. And they're not as articulate as me. They're not as charismatic as I am. They don't know the same things I know, that I have to become a beta male. Or the guards can kill me and they'll send my body to my parents and my parents will get no regard. There will be no repercussion. There will be no vengeance for my death. And that cop, he's just doing his job. He has a right to go home safe to his family too. He takes people to a dungeon. Let me just say this. Okay, the other day, I talked about this yesterday, I'll talk about it again. I said the same thing to my cousin today. May a camera not follow those heroes who saved that guy in the airplane. May a camera not follow those men for the rest of their career. May a camera never shine on those cops who pulled that guy out of the airplane on the train tracks. I pray to God a camera doesn't follow them for the rest of their career and show you what police do to people. They take them to a dungeon. So that hero who pulled the guy out of the plane, we're going to celebrate that man. He's going to get an award, a key to the city. It's a money shot too. You see him, he's dragging the guy out. Rah! And they're running. Yeah! Like I was like, yeah! I saw it. Boom! Yes! And then tomorrow that cop will stick his knee in a man's chest, and then he will take a guy to a dungeon because his wife called the cops on him. Yeah, they had a fight. They had a tiff. It wasn't happy. Neither one of them had a good time with it. But she doesn't know what's going to happen to him next. And then they're going to leave her on the floor crying as they take her husband to the dungeon instead of dropping off 2 counselors and separating those 2 for the night and getting all the input from them. I can go on and on and on. So why was I mean to that cop? Because they take people to a dungeon. Because they put you in cuffs. And the moment you put in handcuffs, the very second you're put in handcuffs, you are tortured. Every second with these on, every single freaking second that you have these on your body, you are being tortured. You are being tortured. When you pass someone and they have on handcuffs, you turn to your friend and say, oh my God, I saw that guy's video where he put his handcuffs in cousin. He put his cousin in handcuffs. There's my dyslexia, forgive me. And I saw her face the very second they put the cuffs on her. The very second I locked the cuffs on Tawny. Go watch that video. The very second I put her in handcuffs. She found out real quick. These are torture. How many people, if the cop said, I'm going to give you a choice, look into my camera right here and say, you're going to willingly come with me, or I'm going to put you in shackles and we're going to drag you down to the jail. What do you want to do? What do you want to do? And then let's talk about real quick, and because that's such a dark thing. So that's the beginning of jail, guys. That's the very beginning of jail. If you get out on your own recognizance, if you don't get charged with multiple crimes, if they decide that you're going to get a bail, then you don't have to deal with the dungeon. But if you're a regular person and you don't have an extra couple $1,000 just sitting around, like most people don't, well then, my friends, you're screwed. You are absolutely screwed. You're gonna go to the dungeon, dude, and you're gonna find out, and you're gonna be just like me. As soon as you go to the dungeon just one time. As soon as you feel what it's like to be raped by you stripping down naked and people looking up your backside to see what you got up your, right? And then cough, right? Yeah, in case you got anything tucked up your booty, right? Because the fentanyl problem is the #1 killer of all man, but they're gonna solve it by looking up your ass. They're gonna solve it by looking up your ass. That's what they're gonna do. Everything's gonna be better if we look up his crack. Demoralize him, dehumanize him, break him down, strip him naked in front of a group of people, make him walk around nude, look up the backside of his back. Okay. So, let's you guys want to pick up a poster? Do me a favor, you guys swing by my website, Delete Laws. My donations on Delete Laws don't work. If you guys learn anything from me and you love the content, let's just keep doing it. You can buy me a cup of coffee. Here's my Venmo. Please feel free to buy me a cup of coffee. Don't break your piggy bank. I'm talking about a black cup of coffee here. I'm not talking about a latte here. You know, no one's rich. That's my Cash App. If you want to buy me a cup of coffee, God bless you. Thank you. And that's my cup of coffee fund right there. I would rather you got the poster. I would rather you got the poster digitally. Thank you for contributing. If you do, send me your email address because I'll send you the poster anyway. I'll send you the poster for any donation, just so you know. As soon as I get your email address, and you can ask anybody here, I send you the poster, the book, I send you everything right away. If you want to buy or anything, you can get it on Delete Laws. You can get a hard copy one that I make about $20 profit on. If you guys want to get a hard copy one on Delete Laws, it's with a Z. That's Delete Laws with a Z. And then you guys should memorize every single case on here, and you should come back with tons of questions for me and ask a million questions. You know, because remember, look, I don't mean to be a walking encyclopedia, but I literally remember almost everything. I remember everything. I can't help it. And I make a lot of mistakes when I'm going fast and I'm emotional. I make a lot of mistakes on years. I watched something back the other day I did. I made a mistake on something. I was like, oh God, I made a mistake on that, because when you get going fast, sometimes you make mistakes. It's just the way it is. That's just how it is. You're not perfect. So anybody who corrects me on anything, I will pin your comment to the top. T-shirts will be ready Monday or Tuesday. There's some people waiting for T-shirts. the t-shirts, and I got hoodies. Ha, what's up, Playboy? I got some hoodies. So, and they all say the same thing. They all say overturn Terry. They all say the exact same thing. Overturn Terry. They all say overturn Terry. That's the whole mantra mission of this channel and what I'm doing. If you have not seen those first 3 episodes of Overturn Terry on this channel, then you don't know what my passion truly is. Those first 3 episodes of Overturn Terry, that is my heart. People say, hey, can you make a video about yourself, your background, your this? Dude, watch the first 3 episodes of Overturn Terry. That's my heart. We get rid of Terry, and then we go back and we get rid of Kerr versus Cal. We get rid of Terry. First we get rid of Terry. That's the lowest hanging fruit. Cops grabbing you for no reason. And then we get rid of Kerr. And then we go back and we get rid of Brinegar. And then we go back and we get rid of Carroll. Those are the 4 cases right off the top. These are the top 4 important cases that have to go. Those 4 cases. So if you guys haven't seen those first 4 episodes of Overturn Terry, please watch those first 4. The TAC coin, we incorporated. Corporation's being set up right this minute. I should get an EIN number next week. So I'll have an EIN number next week for TAC coin. That's super exciting. I'm actually working with someone who bought a poster from me. Guy called me up and said, dude, I want to do anything I can. And I said, all right, well, let's do it. So, I mean, I'm working with someone who actually just bought a poster from me. And they sent me, they bought a couple things, they put on their, dude, what can I do? What more can I do? And so, you know, it's amazing. It's amazing how many people actually give a flying house once, you know. I only said ASS and I only said SHIT in this whole broadcast. So that's pretty good. That's pretty good. No F-bombs. I did a pretty good job. No bad language. So believe me, man, I was raised hearing the F word and the N word like left and right. Not the N word from the kids on the playground. The F word from my own family. Everybody, except for my aunt. My aunt and uncle did not curse like that. But so anyway. So do I have any questions? So that's why I was mean to the cop, guys, because he's not good. He's not a good person. He takes people to a dungeon, and then people live under the illusion of back the blue, and they don't know what they're saying. They're saying they want an autonomous organization that doesn't answer to anybody, has absolute power, and will destroy you and your life based on whether or not they like you. And I'm sorry, I don't like you. So that means you're not going to like me. So then you're going to get to torture me. You get to torture me. You get to torture me. Just upon detainment. Just upon us saying I'm suspicious of you. Just upon suspicion of you, torture. Upon suspicion. And I want everybody to make a note of that. Every time you pass someone on the street and you see them in handcuffs, I want you to turn to your friend and say, dude, did you know that handcuffs are torture? Don't believe me? Get a pair. Put them on super tight just for a minute. Just put them on one wrist. Just put them on one wrist. Just put it on super tight for just a couple minutes. And then when you have them on tight, right, then work it. Work it around on your skin. Work it around. Work it around. My cousin Tawny, it's 4 or 5 days later, she said her bone still hurts. She said her wrist still hurts from the handcuffs we did 4 or 5 days ago. So anyway, do I have any questions? And I don't mean to take up you guys' entire Friday night, but yeah, I do appreciate your support. Thanks, guys. I really appreciate your support. Let me call out some names here. See who's in the room. Where's everybody at? Who's been here for a minute? Let me say hi to you guys. I just want to there we go. Agent right here. What's going on, Agent right here? Flush the blue. Yeah, everybody is a big blue supporter until it happens to them. Until it happens to their dad or their mom. What's going on, Fish Sinker? How you doing, man? Good to see you. Curse-free speech. Oh, I can go backwards here. Eric Bliss is in here. Michael's in here. Michael Telway's in here. Huey's in here. Michelle, what's going on, Michelle? Civilly Aware, what's going on? Fish Stinker. Soylent Green made out of people. Our guy 936 is in here. What's going on, our guy? How you doing? Free Assange, always good to see you, Free Assange. I agree, man. He got just, it's like Eric Brandt, you know, just terrible, horrifically bad things. Ozza's in here. What's going on, Ozza? You got your T-shirt, right? Ozza got the last batch of T-shirts. I'll have everybody's T-shirt Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, like right in the beginning of the week, because Stage 3 had a slight delay. Stage 3 printing here in Phoenix. That's who's printing up the shirts. They had a slight delay because it's my first time being there. I didn't confirm the file. I told them, so it put a delay of a couple days, but Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, they should be ship out. Yeah, Ozza's got the shirt. That's great. I appreciate you buying the shirt. I don't have the shirts up on my website, guys. I sell them just as soon as I get them in. I sell them immediately, and I'm just not good at getting orders and then fulfilling the orders. Just do it all in one day and it's done, and then I wait another batch, and then I sell that next batch. And that's just how I do it, because I'm good at law. I'm not good at business inventory t-shirts. Hey, what's going on? What's going on? The Blue Gang. Overturn Terry, 100%. Zyke, yeah, bash the blue, but I'm not into violence. I don't want to fight them. I want to change the legislation that allows them to do what they do to us. That's what I want to do. That what they are allowed to do to us has to change. What they're allowed to do to us has to change. It has to change. It has to change. What they're allowed to do. This is incredible to me. It wasn't until I got a little older and I remembered how much in pain I was in from these. And then when my investor, Jeff Lloyd, when he told me about the time he almost lost his hands because of handcuffs, it's like, it's just absolutely horrific. Any questions, guys? I got to cut a video tonight. I'm gonna cut a video tonight. I'm gonna put something out for you guys tomorrow. So you should have that in the morning. We don't stop until we overturn Terry. We don't stop. Tatcoin is coming. Tatcoin is coming. So be prepared for that. The Tatcoin is coming. We'll have a currency soon where we don't stop under any circumstances. Spread the word. Spread the word to overturn Terry. Start talking about it. Go watch those first 3 episodes of Overturn Terry. They're only 10 minutes each. Watch them so you know it, and then listen to the whole arguments without me breaking them down. Watch the first 3 episodes, and then you'll want to hear the entire. And I sped up the oral arguments so that you didn't have such big gaps between it. That process of creating the oral arguments thing, that took 2 days of sitting behind an edit for 12 hours each day just to get the oral arguments so that you didn't have to sit there and wait for a big draw. Those old guys talk so slow. Yeah. I mean, until we get a third party over the top of cops, it's going to be dog. It's going to be dog poo. It's going to be dog poo until we have a third party. And by the way, did anybody not get the police commissions yet? Make sure you get the police commissions from me. Make sure you guys read the Mullen Commission. It's an easy read. It's an easy read. It's a fun read, actually. You're going to learn a lot. You're going to learn a lot really quickly. So, yeah. We're going to have to overturn it through legislation, Amara. We're going to have to overturn it through legislation. We're going to have to actually, I'm going to run for the governor of probably California. I don't know when, maybe in 5 years, I believe. I'm pretty sure I'm 5 years away from running for governor of California, and I'm going to run on a third party. I'm not going to run as a Democrat or a Republican. I got to hold my nose when I listen to either party. I mean, I've been kind of identifying more towards a conservative lately, but at the same time, though, the amount of cops sucking that comes from Turning Point USA and from the Republican Party is just absolutely disgusting. And I went to the Turning Point event in December to go make some allies on the right because we have to work with both sides to overturn Terry. And the amount of cops sucking, the amount of blind just cops sucking, where these guys are good and they're great and they're heroes, and we can see video after video. There's not a couple, there's thousands. There's thousands and thousands and thousands of videos. And so they're not great. They're not great. Until there's a third party over the top of someone for accountability, absolute power corrupts absolutely. There's no other way to see it. There's no other way to see it. There's no other way to see it. Yeah, so you guys, do me a favor. Think about getting one of my posters or my ebooks. I do appreciate the support. That's what I do for a living. I really appreciate it. And if you guys have any questions, and by the way, poster and ebook is free. If you guys don't have $25, send me an email to deletelaws@gmail.com. Deletelaws with a Z @gmail.com. I'll send you the poster and the ebook totally for free. I'll also send you all the police commissions. I don't charge anything for the materials that are downloadable. So yeah, if you guys need anything at all from me, I'll give you everything I have. Just yeah, and then if you guys do donate to any of those pay apps, make sure you send your email address too, because I don't want to have to go back and reply, hey, what's your email address? Because then I just send you everything that I sell, because I want you to have it. I want you to have it, whether you buy it from me or not. I want you to literally have it. And if I forward you guys anything, feel free to give them to anybody you want. You know what I mean? If people are going to buy them, they'll buy them. It's great. But let's get them to as many people who actually will print it out and put it on their wall. That's the most important thing. Okay? So, cool. All right, I'll let you guys go. Thanks for listening to me ramble. I appreciate it. Remember, we're living by an unconstitutional standard, and we have to fight back. And this is the only way we can do it, is by assembling together and then petitioning. And that's the way we're going to do it. We're going to do it through every legal route we can. I don't believe in violence, so I don't think a revolution is the way. I think we should just do it through peace and through activism and through petitioning and through assembling and through using speech and press, and that's how we should do it. That's what I think. And that's the way I'm going to, that's my approach. So I hope you guys are with me on that. Cool. All right. Thanks for coming by, Alex. Thanks, Bob. Appreciate you guys coming, man. Thanks a lot for your support. Bless you too. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. I will try to get the SHIT word out of my vocabulary. I have said it. I did say ASS. So hit your like button, you guys. Reach up and hit your like button. I'm supposed to say that. Reach up and hit your like button. Make sure you guys drop a comment on this video. Share it with your friends. and make sure you subscribe. I feel so cheesy saying shit like that. There it is again. Dang it, I got to get rid of that word. Okay, anyway, all right, guys. Thanks. I appreciate your time. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to DM me. And remember, if you guys get my cell phone number, don't blow up my cell phone. You know what I mean? Love you guys, but I get a lot of messages, so don't blow up my cell phone. Use email, deletelaws@gmail.com. All right, cool. Thanks. I'll talk to you guys soon. Later, Gator.